Please consider joining us on our website. You'll have access to Interesting Minds, crime series, and a tutorial so you can see how I do it. I can't guarantee you'll figure it out, but I will teach you how I see people. Remember the video we did on Comey? He's the preacher man. Mueller needed to come out and explain himself. And what do we see? Preacher man commands, Mueller obeys, comes out and explains himself to the congregation.
2 years ago, the acting attorney general asked me to serve as special counsel, and he created the special counsel's office. The appointment order directed the office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election.
He is reading verbatim his speech. Needless to say, we are still going to see if we can see anything.
This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. Now, I have not spoken publicly during our investigation. I'm speaking out today because our investigation is complete. The Attorney General has made the report on our investigation largely public.
It does not seem that he has practiced this speech. Usually people, when they practice it, they can give you more eye contact, they can look up more often. He's not doing that. And normally when we see him, he's got talking points, or he's just being asked questions he's answering. Of all the years of watching him, this is the first time where he's reading verbatim, which makes me curious.
We are formally closing the special counsel's office, and as well, I'm resigning from the Department of Justice to return to private life.
So you see him kind of stumble through that verbatim, verbally, and then he gives a look to the side. He's going to return to private life. Now, that could mean a lot of things, but considering where he's coming from, the path that he's been on, and the stress that is on top of it, and I see that little movement to the side and the stumbling through the words and the breath in that he took prior, it leads me to believe that private life really isn't what he sees he'll be able to do. He's saying private life, but that's probably not what's going to happen.
I'll make a few remarks about the results of our work. But beyond these few remarks, it is important that the office's written work speak for itself. Let me begin where the appointment order begins, and that is interference in the 2016 presidential election. As alleged by the grand jury in an indictment, Russian intelligence officers who were part of the Russian military launched a concerted attack on our political system. The indictment alleges that they used sophisticated cyber techniques to hack into computers and networks used by the Clinton campaign. They stole private information and then released that information through fake online identities and through the organization WikiLeaks. The releases were designed and timed to interfere with our election and to damage a presidential candidate. And at the same time, as the grand jury alleged in a separate indictment, a private Russian entity engaged in a social media operation where Russian citizens posed as Americans in order to influence an election. These indictments contain allegations, and we are not commenting on the guilt or the innocence of any specific defendant.
He's not speaking very well. He's stumbling through quite a few of these words, which definitely tells me he didn't practice this. It also lets me know that his stress level is pretty high, as it should be.
Every defendant is presumed innocent.
That was interesting. You can just barely hear it, but he's so close to that mic. It sounds like this. That is a lot of stress. When your breathing stutters like that, that's a lot of stress.
Unless and until proven guilty. The indictments allege, and the other activities in our report describe, efforts to interfere in our political system. They needed to be investigated and understood, and that is among the reasons why the Department of Justice established our office. That is also a reason we investigated efforts to obstruct the investigation. The matters we investigated were of paramount importance. It was critical for us to obtain full and accurate information from every person we questioned. When a subject of an investigation obstructs that investigation or lies to investigators, It strikes at the core of the government's effort to find the truth and hold wrongdoers accountable. Let me say a word about the report. The report has two parts, addressing the two main issues we were asked to investigate. The first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy. And in the second volume, the report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president. The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime.
I'll look at that one more time.
That the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
So emphasize that. That's the most important part. Did not commit a crime. If he did not, they would have said so. Do you remember the rumor? And yes, when you see it that it says sources, I always assume it's a rumor now. Mueller didn't like the way that Barr delivered the little short synopsis on that whole report. And now that we see him in this arena, redoing it the way he thinks it should have been done, by emphasizing out of all the things that he's talked about so far, that he did not commit a crime, they would have said so. That's the part he wants to emphasize. Pretty much, I can't find anything, boys. Now it's up to you, Congress.
We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. The introduction to the volume 2 of our report explains.
He didn't look up at that at all. He did not look up with that at all. He stayed down completely. It really makes me think with that, because if you don't want to look up, there's a lot of stress on who's watching your face, and you can't even face them. There must be a bone of contention that's got gnaw marks all over it, and rightfully so. You're digging in my past looking for some minor offense I may have committed to use it against me. You know, with all those things that come out with Obama, spying to get dirt on people. And then you try and think, why do people betray their base and do the things that they do? Well, duh. How do you think they control people? With dirt.
That decision. It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional. Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. The department's written opinion explaining the policy makes several important.
Notice how he's emphasizing that too. The fact that they could not, he kept saying that not. The one word he kept emphasizing, not. They could not even consider bringing charges and taking him down. I think it was Schiff who said that after he gets out of office, they're going to get him. And here we are being reaffirmed, and he's nervous about it. You got juggernauts bashing it out. White House versus the congressional, and nobody's really sure who's going to win yet. But nobody's quitting either. Democrats in their base think they'll win. White House in their base think they'll win. Right now, it is a juggernaut beast.
Points that further informed our handling of the obstruction investigation. Those points are summarized in our report, and I will describe two of them for you. First, the opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. Among other things, that evidence could be used if there were co-conspirators who could be charged now. And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing. And beyond department policy, we were guided by principles of fairness. It would be unfair to potentially accuse somebody of a crime when there can be no court resolution of the actual charge. So that was Justice Department policy.
That's interesting. Besides what he says, it's just interesting what he did. He wipes his nose. He's only done that twice. Like they got something up their nose, but it's really something up their sleeve. Remember again, Adam Schiff keeps saying, there's evidence. And here you are hearing Mueller talk about, don't want to let it out of the bag. Could be evidence. There's really not much going on there. I mean, everything that he's telling you, he's just reaffirming if you'd been paying attention. Yeah, he's really nervous, but they're all really nervous. It's a battle to the death.
Those were the principles under which we operated, and from them we concluded that we would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime. That is the office's final position, and we will not comment on any other conclusions or hypotheticals about the president. We conducted an independent criminal investigation and reported the results to the Attorney General, as required by department regulations. The Attorney General then concluded that it was appropriate to provide our report to Congress and to the American people. At one point in time, I requested that certain portions of the report be released. The Attorney General preferred to make the entire report public all at once, and we appreciate that the Attorney General made the report largely public, and I certainly do not question the Attorney General's good faith in that decision. Now, I hope and expect this to be the only time that I will speak to you in this manner. I am making that decision myself. No one has told me whether I can or should testify or speak further about this matter. There has been discussion about an appearance before Congress. Any testimony from this office.
That one really made him clench up. Testimony in front of Congress, you watch his body move, especially with his shoulders. It's like they squeeze in. It's really slight, and he's making himself smaller. Oh, please get him in front of Congress. Apparently that terrifies him. At least we know it wouldn't be written down where he can read it verbatim. One of the Tweedles from Alice in Wonderland.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Special Counsel Robert Mueller for his service to our nation over the past 2 years. Mr. Mueller and his team of prosecutors and investigators worked tirelessly to follow the facts and pursue justice to the furthest extent allowed.
He's going to read a paper verbatim as well. The congregation has now decided Mueller did all that he could. We will have good words for him in the beginning. And now it is time for us to pick up the torch and go after Trump.
Although Department of Justice policy prevented the special counsel from bringing criminal charges against the president, the special counsel has clearly demonstrated that President Trump is lying. He is lying about the special counsel's findings, lying about the testimony of key witnesses in the special counsel's report, and above all, lying in saying that the special counsel found no obstruction and no collusion.
And he's very confident in that. He listened to that report, and this is what he got from it. The congregation has heard, and now they will pick up the torch. They believe Mueller's side of events. We don't really need to go too far with Tweedledee. He's pretty much given us what's about to happen. If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.